It's I don't even know, Monday, like 5 o'clock. Let's see here. It's 5:19 on Monday, and I think I'm going to do one on my experiences with depression in this vlog, and kind of talk about things I've gone through with that. And I just realized I can be really slow sometimes. I don't have to post everything I make. Normally I just make one and post it, so we'll see. It may not get posted, it may. I kind of do these a lot. I see now, I have no idea how, but the point is, I'm going to try to do, say 10, 15, maybe 20 tops on depression, and kind of my I need to fix that, my experience with it, my sort of cycle. So I've had this and I'll try to make it fun, like, you can tell your friends, dude, I just saw this kick-ass depression video, this guy on the net, but I say 20 minutes up top, or 10, 15, 20, whatever, if you're like me, that way you can go, like, I see some of them and I'll see, oh, that's 30 minutes in it. If it doesn't take off right away, which this one isn't, I go, yeah, 20 minutes, not of my time, thank you, as quickly as this will last as long as quickly as long as it takes me to point my browser elsewhere. So I have this chronic pain condition that's really serious, and it's the most serious one you can have, in fact. And it's when you have chronic pain, you're apt to get depression, and if you have addiction, you're apt to get depression. And so I thought I'd at least kind of talk about these things separately. So because I've already covered chronic pain, I've already covered addiction and alcoholism, and those are really, some people can drink every day, or not every day, but get hammered 2 or 3 times a week. I could for years and be okay with it. And other people have problems, so those are kind of aimed for people who were in crises, that one on addiction. So with depression, my first bout was with depression. I was kind of trying to map this out in my head, and what it's been all about for me. And I was probably in my late 20s, and I'd been hurt, and I ended up being on codeine for about 6 weeks, pretty heavily. And when I stopped taking it, I had a withdrawal the first time ever, and I also fell into like a really deep depression. And when I say depression, I don't mean like melancholy or sad feeling. Real depression comes in the form of sort of blankness and emptiness, for me and for a lot of people, and a lot of studies that I've looked at say that. And it's the kind of thing where I've been so bad off that if I got out of bed for sometimes a year at a time, sometimes 6 months at a time, 3 months, a couple times a year at a time, where if I got out of bed that year and got my boots on, that was a victory. That was a hell of a day. That was just too busy for me, and I still have it sometimes. But one of the worst things about it is nobody around you is going to get it or understand it, and that sucks. People around you, when you have problems, understandably get tired of it, and then they can't understand it, and then they get frustrated, and they get angry at you and with you. And it's kind of like I read one time when I was a kid. I was reading about the people going west on one of these hella, I like that term, hella long trails in covered wagons. And one mother was writing about her family, and she said, all love amongst brothers is lost on this God-forsaken trail. It seemed, amongst all the people in the wagons, they had no love for those close to them anymore, because they were just so packed together and so miserable. And that kind of familiarity does breed contempt. So when it's like a dog fight, a car wreck outside, it's crazy. But when you're close to people and when you have depression, it really is frustrating. Nobody gets it. And for me, it was just blankness, complete blankness. I mean, I actually had tunnel vision, and I could only see like a tunnel in front of me, and anything you could say had no meaning to me anymore. It didn't register, And a lot of I've tried every super strong medication to the lightest medication they have, over the years, and seems like there's a lot going on outside today. I decided to stay inside because I don't really dig being, my train of thought is short to begin with, and I don't like being interrupted. But when I finally get the train of thought going, but one of the things, if I would have had somebody just giving some straight talk on their experience on it that made sense, anywhere in any video, when I first started my road of depression and treatment for it. I've been in hospitals like 33 times for about half the time, like 20 times for depression, and the other 13 or 14 for addiction, and that sort of resulted from depression, and that sort of resulted from chronic pain. But with the medications, it's kind of like we don't have anything that works really at all or perfectly. And this is my experience. If you have problems, see your doctor, blah blah. I'm just going to tell you my experience on it. And so it's the kind of deal where I just didn't know where to go or what to do, and like I say, with me, it presented as I was so exhausted I could barely move anymore, and I became real slow and could barely talk, and I would often let cigarettes burn down, and they would burn my hand to remind me I was smoking, and at times I would be stuck in a corner at home, and be stuck there. I could not figure my way out of that corner. I just was staring at a corner all day. I was so absolutely blank, and that's a suck way to be. And as stated, people they don't understand it, and they get tired of it. And the worst thing you can do is cheerlead, what they call cheerleading somebody who has depression. Come on, do this. You can get better, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes you just got to go all the way down and wallow in it, and it wasn't even a wallowing in it for me. It really is letting it take its chemical course. I had man, those damn dogs are really distracting out there. I had a girlfriend who's a psychiatrist and a noted author of self-help books and stuff, and we had broken up when we're fighting one time, and she was like, when we got back together, I said, "What'd you do in those months?" And she goes, "Well, I was really miserable, then I got sick." And she goes, "I was so grateful to be sick and so glad, because it adjusted my body chemistry and gave me something else to think about and sort of tuned me out of all the pain and loneliness." And she was brokenhearted, and the cold capsules even, and I was like, I completely understood that, because I think that's what a lot of the medications do. In my experience, what I found was none of them worked the way they said, but what they did do was just knock the crap out of me a lot of times. Or even like Prozac or the SSRIs, they would just adjust my thinking in such a way I was sort of messed up, but anything was better than the state I was in, and I think that's how they work mostly. In fact, definitely for me, and nowadays studies have shown that antidepressants, placebos, are more effective than antidepressants in studies. So what can you do? The thing I found was to know your limitations and know what you can handle or not. And thank God, when I had severe depression, I also had the financial means where I could stay in bed for a year, and more than once. And it knowing and being good to yourself and gentle to yourself and not forcing yourself, I mean, you have to push, always pushing, but not forcing yourself or letting other people around you force. And that's tough. It really is hard stuff because people around you are afraid. They drop into like a lot of different feelings, the stages of loss, and um, they're afraid. They don't know what to do, and they want to help you, and then they get mad at you, uh, and it's the kind of thing where if you could help by the very nature of the disorder, and I think it'll definitely be cured probably in 10, 20 years with a one-time treatment. It's really uh, it's a dysfunction of your nervous system. Your brain is your biggest nerve, so your brain is really just not firing properly. Um, and it it's the kind of thing where just sleeping right, eating right, walking every day helped me, and also staying away from stuff. I once put Apocalypse Now on a 5.1 surround system that kicked ass in a professional recording studio, and I let that run for 6 weeks over and over again. Really wasn't helpful, you know. Uh, Quiet time is important, and I would tend to sometimes in depression you can get into obsessions and sort of um, just messed up wrong thinking. There's a whole read the stages of depression sometime and coming in and out of it, um, and this one's probably not, it's really not making good sense so far. I may not post it, I don't know. Let's see, I'm like 13 minutes in, 2 more minutes. But it's the kind of thing where the really most important thing was for me, I learned to sort of tune out the people who couldn't be supportive over a long period of time around me, and really there was nobody. You're kind of left with yourself. But I learned to at least not listen to what they had to say and realize they don't know what they're talking about. This is serious. I can't think anymore. Nothing makes sense to me anymore. It's just a dark, not sadness, but it's as if you're dead inside. You can no longer function for yourself. And many times it took me months to work up the courage to call, to set up arrangements to go to a hospital. And it's tied up with addiction and chronic pain. But every time you check into one of those hospitals, they have a questionnaire when you check in, and it says, how is your pain level today? And I was like, how did they know? And that's so common with depression and addiction, for people to also have pain. And that's really not studied and understood yet. And I think that will be. But the three go together and in such a powerful way that they just rob you of your life. I'm better now. I don't drink or use drugs. That was absolutely number one. Those were causing my depression. And, it got so ridiculous on my part. At one time, it's like, well, we'll give you this drug to make you more awake and alert, and then, oh, well, that one's making me nervous. Well, we'll give you this one to calm you down. Well, now I can't sleep. Well, now we'll give you this one to sleep. Pretty soon there were like 15 things I was taking every day, and really all because I just needed to find a center of gravity in the world somewhere. But it was really frustrating because still no one understands it and no one knows it, and I'm not the least bit ashamed to talk about it because it's the kind of thing where there's such a stigma against these problems in society. It's hard to get good, useful, accurate information. But I think it kind of, one of the things that it helped me quite a bit, actually, just getting out of the environment I was in. And I'm going to end this on this minute in a little bit, but by going to hospitals, it took me out of the kind of environment I was in, and light helps a lot. Having a bright light place, which this is not, but all these things together. But just getting out and being around other people who at least were professionals in the field and sort of understood it, and really, that's kind of hit or miss, but it's better than nothing. And the sheer act of picking up the phone after 6 months and saying, hey, I would like to, come in um, for a tune-up kind of a thing. That alone was saying, hey, I'm doing something positive to help this out. So, it's a lot of stuff, but really don't let people around you and it's their inclination to hammer you into the ground and hurt you more because they don't understand it, and they're afraid, and they're frustrated, and they want to help. But it's something I've had for years, and it comes and goes. It's better now. Like I said, it was tied up with my drinking and using, but not always. It started really before I became, completely addicted. So anyway, I felt like at least saying something about that. I hope this sort of helps somebody, because it was hard to find like loving, kind support, and you probably won't. But what you can do is sort of do what you can do positively, even if it's a tiny thing, every day, and some days I'm really strong, and other days I'm fragile, and that's why I kind of I like writing things down, and I like video because it's sort of that way forever. So anyway, I'm really tired. I need to crash. So that's that. I'll probably do more. I'm going to do more on addiction, depression, and also there's all kinds of stuff going on. There's like, I've been dealing with record labels and marketing and copywriting and publishing, but for now, people, I love that one. Poltergeist ending. This house is clear.